All right, so I'm going to start this meeting at 6:01. Do you mind starting the recording, please?
Done.
Okay. Can I get a motion to accept the agenda, please?
So moved.
Thanks, Fernanda. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay.
Remember, we need to adjust for the snapshot since it wasn't released today.
Oh, I was just going to see if we were going to move it.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. All right. All those in favor of the agenda, please signify by saying aye.
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 Gabe and Barbara. All those opposed? Abstaining? Okay. We have an agenda. So we're going to start the meeting out. We've invited the legislators that represent our district here tonight. And online you can see Senator David Weeks, Senator Terry Williams, Representative Peter Conlon, and we also have Representative Alicia Millay over here. So thank you all for coming. We appreciate it very much. I just wanted to say that we were hoping that you could kind of give us an update of what's going on in the legislature right now, and then hopefully open it up to questions, if that's okay with you guys.
It's fine. This is Dave. I would like to recommend that Representative Peter Conlon, as the chair of the House Education Committee, possibly lead us off. Chair Conlon is dealing with the issue all day long, while in the Senate Education Committee is one of two committees, and Representative Conlon has recently introduced some language and a map, which I think would be of great interest to the school board. If Representative Conlon, if you're
That's fine, Dave. I'm happy to lead off if that would be helpful. So, can you hear me okay? First of all,
Yes.
great. So, Peter Conlon. I represent Goshen and Leicester within the Otter Valley District. I'm the chair of the House Education Committee. I live in Cornwall. I think it's fair to say that the legislature in general, certainly the House Education Committee, I think in general, we are somewhat struggling to continue the work on Act 73, given the feedback we've received in many different forms and ways from the redistricting task force to the Commission on the Future of Public Education to thousands of comments from Vermonters. Between the passage of Act 73 last year and where we sit today. Act 73 essentially says, let's move to a state of newer, larger districts and move our funding formula from the way we do it today to the way most states do it, using a foundation formula in which every school district is funded based on the profile of each and every student. The funding formula part is complex, mathematical, academic, and sort of behind the scenes, but everybody sort of gets the concept. The newer, larger districts represents, a very significant change in how we do things, and I think it's fair to say it is very hard to get consensus on how that should be and what that should look like. So the committee that I chair, the House Education Committee, was basically kind of stuck talking about the higher level concepts that were hard to talk about without having something to react to. So 2 weeks ago, I put on the table a map, really there for discussion purposes mainly. However, it was done with some thought to feedback we've heard from both academic researchers, the Superintendent's Association, sort of Vermonters in general. So it breaks the state up into districts of 2,000 to 4,000 districts that have 2,000 to 4,000 students in them, roughly. They would be all school districts, not supervisory unions, so that we can have sort of a uniform set of operating protocols throughout the state. Let's call them so that they're all governed by statute rather than each kind of doing its own thing. But, not surprisingly, that creates a lot of conflict. We've got people who are concerned about newer, larger districts mandated by the state, changing a culture of local control. Act 46 did a bit of that, but Act 46 was in many ways, for many people, voluntary, as opposed to the state saying this is how it's going to be done. Personally, I'm a believer that Act 46 is a proven concept, and perhaps it's time that the whole state moves to that sort of newer, larger district, which is why what I put forward talks about 27 districts across the state ranging from 2,000 to 4,000 students. With that, I added some language that sort of operationalizes it, that says these are school districts. They are not supervisory unions. One board governing the newer, larger district. No such thing as a non-operating district. Basically, every district has got the resources to provide a K-12 education, whether at the high school level, for example, that is an independent school, one of the 4 historic academies, or a public school. But essentially it says that school boards assign students to how they're going to be educated within their district, just as is done for the vast majority of Vermont students today. Sort of how that happens can be somewhat left up to the local school board. So you can imagine the pushback on it. It effectively eliminates sort of the parental town tuition choice program that we have. It is newer, larger districts. It gets rid of supervisory unions, within which we have lots of different delivery systems. It puts, I would say, a level of fear in much of rural Vermont about what a sort of board that represents a larger geographic area may not have the same investment in the smaller communities. As I say, smaller communities are struggling through declining enrollment, staffing, and construction needs anyway. To me, a larger board overseeing a larger district allows sort of a more strategic way of dealing with declining enrollment. Anyway, so I put that on the table. My committee is essentially reacting to it. I would say what I put on the table, every member of my committee has something in it that they can not get beyond. For some, it is the elimination of choice as we know it. For others, it's the elimination of the SU model. For others, it's a fear of what the foundation formula may hold in the future. But we can't really calculate that until we know what the districts are going to be. We are, I would say, struggling, but I think the committee that I chair is a microcosm of the legislature writ large, and sort of the struggles that we're going to face to make major change. I am a believer that now is an opportunity that we need to have these hard conversations. Our enrollment is not growing. Our costs are, and we're reached a point where we need to make some hard decisions. But I'm not sure that Vermonters are ready for the level of change that is proposed in Act 73 originally, or that sort of I put on the table and that others have put on the table. I'll stop there, maybe turn it over to my Senate counterparts. Today they got their first look at a map of their own, an operational language of their own, which maybe they could talk a little bit further about. But there's a lot being talked about up here, that's for sure. Turning that into the next big step in the Act 73 journey is a big challenge.
Thank you.
I'll pick it up from there if you want, Peter.
Sure.
Dave, okay?
It's up to the chair, I would say.
You can,
Okay.
yeah, go ahead.
So I just want to say that collectively, the legislature, the education committees, in the end, will set the policy. And we've been taking testimony, we've been doing school tours, and I'm only one vote in my committee of 6, but I'm also very interested in the people that actually do it for a living and what they need to have happen to make this successful. I believe you know a lot more about your district than I do, and we've been listening intently, but at some point we need to put lines on a map. And I could have done that, the first week of the last session. Because it's Act 73 passed, we got a time period to get it. And we're trying to get out in front of declining student population that happens every year. And I'm not sure how we do that, so it's kind of like trying to get on a train going 90 miles an hour. That we need to get this, I think the foundation formula will be finalized and implemented in 2029. So some people say that, we should just implement the foundation formula now and let things happen organically. I'm not sure, I'm not qualified to make that determination. So as a member of the committee, I'm sitting there listening intently, and when I'm asked to make a decision for a vote, I'll make that decision. And I'm Terry Williams, representing Rutland County from Pullman.
Okay, thank you, Peter, and thank you, Terry. This is Dave Weeks. I represent Rutland County, but I live in Proctor. And what I'm going to do is just provide a perspective from my viewpoint only on where I think we're going. Everyone, and I'm not representing the committee, and I'm not representing the caucus. So where I think we're going, I think that superintendents are going to end up being tagged with a larger geographic footprint. School principals will remain the focal point for the community, but I do believe that that superintendents will basically, the focus will carry back, and they'll be responsible for a larger geographic area to make regional decisions. So that's one point. Second, organic districting, I think, doesn't provide the speed that we need for the property tax issue. Although that would be, I think, everyone's preference. I don't think that, as history would tell us, that we don't have the luxury of that type of multi-year runway ahead of us. BOCES regions, definite possibility, but BOCES are already in legislation, as I believe the school board already understands. We're also wrestling with a bill that Senator Baruth introduced. Senator Baruth is the president pro tem in the Senate, carries a lot of weight with the chamber, and he introduced a spending cap bill, which is going to get a lot of mileage over the next couple weeks. I do want to reassure the board that the political leadership and the leadership in the education, those who shape education policy and fiscal policy, they meet regularly. And we're talking at least every week, if not more frequently. And I do believe that the current superintendents are really part of the overall solution here. I've reemphasized to all the superintendents in our region that we really want your input. It's critical to fully understanding where Act 73 should be going. One of the issues which I wanted to share with the board is that one effort that I think is critical is that whether you're in the House Education Committee, the Senate Education, the money committees in the House and the Senate, the Secretary of Education, the Governor, etc., that we have to find we have to agree on what the common goals are with Act 73 so that we find that overlapping synergy. And that conversation gets a little bit diluted when we're talking about one particular map versus another particular map. I think we need to agree on what those goals are, and I think that will infinitely help us shape the strategy ahead. There are now maybe 5 or 6 different map versions, so that's going to get a little confusing over time. Representative Conlon introduced his a couple weeks ago. Our chair in Senate Education, Senator Seth Baumgart's from Bennington, Bennington County introduced his concept today, which we're still trying to understand and such. And what I want to leave everyone with is the impression that, and I think Representative Collins said it already, there is no consensus right now on the approach. And so we're dealing with 2 different education committees, one in the House, one in the Senate. We're dealing with the finance committees, appropriations committees. Again, we're dealing with the governor, we're dealing with Secretary of Education. We've got a number of special interest groups who are weighing in. And no matter how much people want to find common ground, we're not there yet. And it's going to be a pretty tough slog ahead. So I think the 3 of us are the only representatives who are online. We're interested in what the board has to feed back to us on your perspective on where this could go, shouldn't go, etc.
Okay. Well,
If you don't mind, I might talk a moment just to
Sure.
talk about the politics involved here. The governor has said, "Get me maps, or I won't sign the state budget." That's a pretty definitive threat. You can shut down government come July 1st if we don't have a budget in place. And we have, politics at the local level where some people say, if I vote for something that I believe threatens the existence of the small schools in my area, I can't vote for it. We've got people who say, if the foundation formula is going to mean my district is going to get less money, I can't vote for it. We've got people, so you can imagine that. And meanwhile, where I feel the worst is that we are holding up school districts who want to make decisions about their own future and do some long-term planning. And we keep saying, or they keep saying, let's wait and see what the legislature does. And at a certain point, we have to say, we've done what we can. Now you all need to move forward. One thing that I think we can all agree on that we were discussing today in our committee is the critical need for the state to come up with some sort of school construction aid formula. And that's, if there's one thing we have consensus on, it's probably that. But as Senator Weeks said, finding consensus around some of the bigger issues is definitely challenging.
does anybody have anything they want to start with? Go ahead, Brett.
Broadly speaking, the
Would
foundation.
you tell them who you are? Just
Oh,
first,
yeah,
sorry.
Brett Mullen, Pittsford. So foundation funding, broadly speaking, who does that benefit versus what districts that would it negatively impact?
All right, so, to put bluntly, well, first of all, hopefully it would, everybody would have the ability to maneuver their district to accommodate it. But the fact is it levels out state funding. So if you are a low per pupil spending district, you come out ahead, because the idea is that, for every student, you assign a base funding plus a weight. And I would imagine that those who are spending below the state average probably do better, and those who are spending above the state average probably would see their funding curtailed. Depending, of course, on lots of factors, what is the profile of all of the students in your new district?
To answer your question.
I think so.
Okay.
I have a bunch more, but other people can ask first.
Oh, well, you're so sweet. Okay. Someone else?
I have some feedback, but not questions. I'd prefer to hear the questions first.
Okay. I have a question then, since no one else seems to be asking. I want to know how this works with other things that we need in this state. Number one is healthcare. You know that healthcare is one of the biggest costs in our district, and what is being done to work on finding a way to make healthcare less costly in the state, which would in turn reduce our budgets as well.
Great question. I'll be brief so the others can say something. Last year, we passed a few things that have, in fact, it helped, for example, bring down the VHI premium increase. It was still an increase, but it brought that increase down. Basically saying that, hospitals, for example, can no longer charge exorbitant rates on prescription drugs. We have reference-based pricing being put into place. I think in the next couple of years that should help as well. But the fact of the matter is just like education, our demographics make reducing the actual cost of healthcare in this state really challenging, as does our objection. Just as we don't like to close schools, we also don't like to close hospitals. And we are basically an over-hospitaled state, and it is costing us a lot of money. And we are an aging state, and our insurance pool is way out of whack for what you would want. So, people say, well, let's not tackle education reform until we solve healthcare. Healthcare is probably not solvable without some sort of national change. We can nibble at the edges, but we can't make a big dent.
Okay.
Yeah, this is Dave. I agree with Representative Conlon. Both Senator Williams and I are alumni of the Senate Health and Welfare Committee, where we spent 2 years trying to get our head around Vermont healthcare's challenges. So I, like Representative Conlon, am not very encouraged that we have a solution. I think we're biting around the edges. I think that prescription caps and various initiatives are not going to drag down the overall cost of healthcare, which, in fact, just to make sure everyone's on the same sheet of music here, that our healthcare costs are 3 times that of our neighbor state, New Hampshire. And I do agree with Representative Collins. This is really a national issue. And in fact, I would put the bulk of the issue with would be centered around the national immigration policy. That we could solve many of our problems with bringing in labor from trained, skilled labor from outside the U.S., but that perspective is not shared at the national level at this point. And I wanted to make just one comment. This again is based on one representative's experience with the Health and Welfare Committee. Is what I call the 40-60 rule, that 40% of Vermonters pay for their own health care, and then they also pay for the other 60% of Vermonters. Now, I know that's a very broad generalization, but it gives you the essence of the problem in a nutshell, that we're a little too generous, and it's costing us dearly with all of the demographic challenges that Representative Collin outlined. So I don't think that we're on a track to solve one of the major cost drivers that's affecting education costs for those very reasons. But we're trying to affect the issues which are in our hands within the education committees.
So, and I've got something to add to that too. We got a number of cost drivers affecting education. They're also affecting everything else. And I personally have spoken to Governor Scott about, if you could do one thing, what would you do if you were governor? And I said, fix health care. So I know there's a bill, House 842 in right now, which is addressing that. The Green Mountain Care Board is working to bring down prescription drug prices as much as we can in the state, but we have such a small insurance pool to draw from that we're pretty much limited. I mean, Blue Cross Blue Shield was ready to file bankruptcy, and they had to merge with Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan to stay solvent. So we have some problems. I don't think the Education Committee is the place you want, that we're going to get it fixed. And I think it just diverts from the education issues and policy issues we're trying to fix at education. So.
Kevin first.
So I did think of a question. What's the future for CTE look like? And I ask this because if I could wave a magic wand for our district, the one thing I'd do, first thing I do anyway, is make CTE opportunities available to every kid that wants one. And I think that's true for at least much of the rural area of the state. So I'd like to hear what the plans are. Thank you.
The Secretary of Education has a new broad CTE bill that's been introduced. It's a major change. I'm not sure where it's going to go, but there are some philosophies built into it. One of which is, yes, standalone CTE centers are an important part of how we move forward, but so is pushing CTE into high schools that can accommodate it. And especially when we talk about CTE, we're not just talking about programs that require a big garage to work on cars and tractors, but all you really need is a CNC machine. So yeah, I think that I'd say that the future is probably going to include more CTE type opportunities within our high schools as they exist. Not quite sure how we're going to get there. But CTE remains one of the unsolved major challenges that we have moving forward within Act 73, because we have to figure out how to fund it on an equitable statewide level. And right now, the CTE in Middlebury, for example, tuition is about $34,000 per FTE student. Others are much cheaper. They have 200 spaces for 200 kids. Stafford's got waiting lists. How do we right that ship and balance it out so that tuitions come down and students have more access? And of course, like many things in education, it comes down to time sitting on a bus. A lot of kids just say, I don't want to spend half my day driving back and forth to a CTE if I can get that in my home high school. But then that pulls a kid out of a CTE program. So making all these things work is challenging, but I do think that the future, people seem to agree that the future means providing some technical education within the high schools as they exist, really to meet student demand.
Yeah, I would agree completely with Representative Conlon. I think that the one issue that everyone in the Senate Education Committee agrees on is that CTE is critical. Enhancing CTE programs is critical to Vermont for a number of reasons, some of which Representative Conlon outlined. So Representative Conlon referenced the waiting list for Stafford. Well, the waiting list, it's kind of a euphemism. It's not a waiting list. It's 80 students who couldn't pick up the program that they were motivated to pick up, and we've got to address that. There's, what are they waiting for? They're waiting for next year. They're waiting for more construction to have Stafford expand. Are they waiting for Otter Valley to be able to set up a satellite CTE? In the meantime, they're not getting the technical education they need to be to carry forward on their career. There's a couple simple things that, in addition to everyone being supportive of CTE, there's a couple of simple things that are in action, which I do think will move through legislation relatively unscathed. And one is the concept as simple as common scheduling between schools, common bell schedules, so that schools know, it's predictable now, but they're not synergized for the benefit of the student who's going to a CTE, but also has some obligations back at their parent high school. But I can leave you with the impression that CTEs, there's not a person in the room who doesn't agree that CTEs, and you've heard the governor articulate it, that need all of our support. And at this state, this time and state, it's happening. It's got full support.
So we spent all afternoon with Secretary of Education Saunders talking to us about CTE. She has a plan. Senator Ron Hinsdale has a bill in right now, which is really focused on expediting CTE statewide. She's got a good handle on it, and those two kind of went at it today about the plan. So that's how we're going to develop the plan, is by looking at where the schoolhouses are. I mean, we may end up having to come up with some funding to start a regional high school with a CTE center in it. But that's years from now. We just don't have the money because we still have a moratorium on school construction. But that doesn't mean that if a school district decided to merge on their own and there was a schoolhouse that was in good shape, that could become a CTE satellite for Stafford. We've got, and the other thing is trying to find the qualified instructors that will leave the industry to come to work for teachers' wages when they could be making six figures. You gotta find somebody that's at the end of their work life cycle that's willing to come back and share what he or she's learned. There's a lot of issues out there that have to be resolved to get CTE, but everybody agrees that I think Act 73, the governor's plan, was actually grounded in CTE. We need workforce. We need people to go out and build houses. People move here to do work, they can't find a place to stay. So it's a vicious cycle, and we're all focused on trying to fix it, but we're limited to what we can do because of funding now. So I'll leave it there.
Thank you.
Brett, you had your hand raised.
Yeah, I have a question, but there's a little context, I guess, that I have to wrap into it. And it just seems like, I mean, if we even go all the way back to Act 60 and all the things that the state's sort of done since then to try to fix education, the problem has consistently seems to be that what's important to districts or important to voters is drastically different. It's sort of a tale of the haves and the have-nots. And so for us sitting here, I mean, Act 46 was flawed in that it didn't force anything, but, at least you could combine with like-minded groups and sort of form boards that had similar goals. This feels like if you don't go far enough and don't sort of set up what the outcome for facilities, what the supervisory unions or the district's going to look like, not supervisory union, then you're almost maybe setting districts up for failure in some ways, right? Because let's say if we pick on Peter's map, right? I think that showed us merging with Rutland, right? Mm-hmm. So we merge with Rutland. Let's pretend in this hypothetical scenario. Okay, so does that mean that there's one high school? Does that mean that there's two? What does that mean for our facilities versus what is happening in Rutland? And what sort of a voice would what's left of our district have in that? And if you don't dictate sort of what that's going to look like, you're kind of setting us up to be in a room that's hostile because, it's a new board. You've reorganized it. You said, okay, you're on now one district, but you haven't said, okay, this is the plan for your facilities. And honestly, cutting down on the overhead of supervisory unions isn't really going to fix the problem.
Excellent points, all of them. One of the things we struggle with is you're absolutely right. If we create new, larger districts with new school boards, and we don't give them tools to make hard decisions, we've solved some problems, but we haven't. But we've left the major problems in the hands of these new school boards. And as you say, are we creating a hostile room? Got to balance that with people, saying, well, we need to have, some semblance of local control, and if the state dictates everything. So in the example that you provide of sort of the merging of your district and Rutland, it would be up to the school board to look at the facilities and see what is the best economical way to move forward, whether the smaller high schools, cease to exist and the larger ones absorb them. I don't know. But, it's trying to find that delicate balance between who makes those decisions. I am very sympathetic to what you're saying, which is, don't stick us with the hard choices. You guys make them. But the political courage to do all of it ourselves up here is also perhaps lacking, just because it's a hostile room up here, and that's one of the struggles we're really just trying to get past. But I agree with you. I'm very fearful of giving new school boards nothing but sticks, which is why school construction aid is at least something that we might be able to offer to say, as a school board, if you're going to move forward with consolidation, if you took all of the sort of Rutland County high schools or even the eastern Rutland County high schools and said, go from 4 to 2, at least we could provide some assistance with that. But your point is very well taken. I appreciate it.
So can I add something to that?
Sure.
So, I'm listening to my constituents, I'm listening to my school boards in the district my town's in, and they're like, gee, should we be planning on merging? What should we do? Can we do that? Yeah, you can do that. So here's what I came up with. Right now, no district has been forced to merge. All right, that means towns still retain leverage. The strategic reality is that the legislature eventually adopts a statewide consolidation map. Towns that have already begun discussions, studied fiscal impacts, and identified preferred partners, negotiated governance structures, will be in a stronger position than towns that did nothing. So I guess you got to ask yourself, should we be looking for like a 5-year plan? You still got the time. What's the board planning on doing? Is the town, I know my town, the 3 towns that are in my supervisory district have already voted whether they would consider closing the school. And the answer was yes. So they see the reality on the ground that eventually we're going to have to, we don't have the student population, we're going to have to do something with it. So I guess I'll ask you guys a question. Have you been thinking about what you're going to do? Because you can do that.
Oh yeah, we've done some things. We've reached out to other districts, seeing if they were interested in joining with us, and we heard crickets. It's not that it's off the table, but right now we know they're not interested at this point.
Right.
Yeah, Brett?
I got to push back on this one a little bit. So, respectfully, I just heard a comment 15 minutes ago that we don't know what is important to us out of Act 73. Act 73 was passed last year. So, you guys are putting us in this awful position of not being able to do anything because there's nothing coming from the state of any substance. It's all, well, we might do this, or we want to talk about this, or we've got this off-ramp or this off-ramp, or we want to get to here. That doesn't help us because everyone just grabs that and says, this is why we can't do something because we don't know what the state's going to do. And
I mean, that's some of the reasons why we got pushed back on some of the ideas that we had in our own district this year when we were crafting a budget was you can't do that until the legislature decides what they're going to do.
But I'm hearing that we should be strategically
sure.
thinking ahead.
Yep.
So what I'm
So that wasn't the legislature, Lori, that was the but, you know, they had to come up with the cost of what the education tax rate was gonna be in December, and they finally did that. Yeah, we were as surprised as you were at the 9%. And I've always said, we all should be on the same budget cycle, same fiscal year, because how can you guys, you gotta have your budget out before town meeting day, and we haven't even approved our budget yet.
Yep.
That's it.
So, you know, we gotta look at things that we can fix along the way too,
Well, it
and
also,
that's one of them.
one of the other things I would say to you, and I know this isn't you, but when someone comes out and says that they're expecting a 12% increase in property taxes this year, and we haven't even looked at a budget yet, that is not helpful for our budgets when we're trying to craft one. And we craft a budget that's only at 2.92%, and everyone's like, no, it's 12, because that's what we heard on the news. That's what Governor Scott said. That is not helpful.
I've heard the same thing in my town too. So,
I think that like what I keep, and I think that Peter Conlon said this earlier, was, you know, there's a desire by Vermonters to maintain Vermont choice and to Vermont voters to have control over the decisions made, but they're also not willing to make decisions that are difficult without someone from the top making them do it. So we can't have it both ways. Like, we can't say we're not going to make any decisions because we want the big guys to tell us what the rules of the game are, and then simultaneously complain or say, you know, like, we want our own choices, we want Vermont freedom. Like, we have to be able to say either we make the hard choices ourselves and we do it together as a community, or we wait until we're forced to make those decisions and then claim that our choice and our freedoms are being impeded on. Like, we don't get both.
I'm going to follow up on what Amber just said. I don't think that's quite accurate, though I admire the sentiment. And I don't think it's accurate because we're put in a position by the state where we don't have power, and if we do make those decisions, they're subject to change, and that the voters are very leery about making changes under those circumstances.
It becomes the scapegoat.
The specific thing I'm
Don't
thinking
we
about
have
is
power
is
now?
aging
Let me finish.
aging building infrastructure. We have a problem, and I think in Pulteney and in Proctor, you understand this, that we have a 60-year-old building that needs a lot of work. We plan to ask the voters for money to do that. There's a certain amount of reluctance. We'll find out how much reluctance there is out there, but there's certainly a lot of resistance to it, and it's part because we have an unclear future, and that unclear future resides in Montpelier. So it's a very difficult problem, you know. And you might say, well, you had 60 years to take care of your deferred maintenance problem, so you know you're stuck with it. But that doesn't help us in the moment. And we've been, since I've been on this board, this is my 6th year, we've been talking about infrastructure and what to do and coming up with a plan and presenting it to the public. And COVID got in the way, and now, in my opinion, Montpelier's in the way. So it's really difficult to make these local decisions that we want to make with having the sword of Damocles over our head.
I would just add that right now we do have the power. And do we want to act and think strategically before the power is taken away from Montpelier? Because
I
any board should be looking forward and thinking ahead.
I think that all the boards need to anticipate, understand, and work towards the idea that we're going to consolidate. Like, whether we consolidate OV with Middlebury or OV with Rutland, we're going to consolidate. And so, you know, as we have discussed, not we, I don't actually have a voting member of the board, I'm the clerk, but as the board has discussed, where are we in the best position to welcome students into our building versus our students having to go all the way to Rutland? You know, like, where the student's going to want to go is where the building has been maintained, upkept, programs are in a stable position, there's adequate teachers and adequate resources. So unless we position ourselves to be that player in the game, our students aren't going to have in our building, and our board is not going to have the leverage to welcome students in. At this point, the amount of work due on this building probably matches what Rutland's does. If they beat us to the punch, they upgrade their facilities, they upgrade their programs, it's just going to make sense that we move our students south. Because they're already gonna be in a position to hold our students if we are not in a position to do it.
Well, no matter what, they're gonna have the more votes, right? I mean, it's a bigger area, so.
8 square miles.
Mr. Walde, do you have anything you'd like to say as our student rep? He's our student rep, so this is Braden Walde. He's our student rep. He's a senior here at Otter Valley.
I suppose the main thing that I was thinking about just now was what you said about ease of access. I think for a lot of kids, at least in Brandon and surrounding areas, it would be a fair bit more hassle to have to change schools. I'm not briefed on all the specifics of all this, so I can't really speak with any knowledge, but I do think it would be very nice to have a clear understanding of what's going to happen, because amongst the student body, there are many different. Basically, we all think that something else is going to happen, because no one has any idea. So a lot of kids say, well, we're going to have a new school building in 2 years or something. And then other kids are saying, well, no, we're going to be going up to Rutland. And others say we're going to go to Middlebury. And everyone who has a sibling in the school is just wondering what on earth is going on, and they don't get it. And I think if something could happen to give clarity at all, it would be very pleasing.
Okay. Thank you.
Can you guys check the Zoom and see if there's anybody in the waiting area?
Nobody.
No one. So. Well, okay.
Yeah, and I have something if, after
So
Kevin.
this isn't a question, this is responding to Peter. There's a couple of things, and I'm just speaking for myself, this is my chance to say it. So a couple of things about your plan I like. I think that, so you know this, that in our case, I think our SU's undemocratic and that's been harmful. And I also think tuitioning districts are inherently unfair. So eliminating those things, putting everybody on the same map, under the same rules, I think is a good thing. So thank you for that.
Oh, was there a second? I thought you were going to say something else.
No, that was it.
Oh, that was it. All right. Okay, sorry. I thought he said two things, and he only really said one. Okay, so Renee wants to say some things.
So thank you all for coming today. And I think Senator Weeks, you know kind of what I'm going to say already. But one of the things that I'm happy that you guys are working on the necessary things for us to have a strong educational system within Vermont, but we're working on effectively the inputs to what goes into our education without really knowing what we're going to be getting at the end of it. And so I don't know if it's the domain of the secretary or if it's part of the legislature for us to really move forward with helping boards and helping communities decide what they are supposed to be doing with this money that they're spending on students. And I bring that up because the statewide graduation rate is going down. We have, as a state, we have fallen further behind in literacy. Math it's like that everywhere, but it seems like we, as a state, could really use some help with that as well. And so when you have 119 districts, some of them are non-operating, that's 119 different ways, and then you, to approach what they want their local control in order to produce at the end of the 12th grade year. Additionally, within some districts, you might still have kind of the vestiges of the pre-consolidation where the schools are still doing their own thing, and so that's a whole other set of outcomes that are being generated that are not connected to anything else. And so being responsible for the students within this district and being somebody who is supposed to be stewarding the finances in a way that produces the greatest possible outcome for the students that we have, yes, we can continue to decide what we think our students should be able to do, but frequently it's kind of disconnected from the other things. Like if we really wanted to focus on CTE and college and life preparedness, that's something that may or may not be tied to what is going on at the state level. And so, I don't know. So I guess it's not really, I guess it's kind of a question, but it more than anything, it's just kind of a cheering on the legislature to really be, I guess, to chase the outcomes too, not just the inputs. Because when we're just chasing the inputs, you have 119 different ways that those inputs are going to be put to use.
I'm Leslie Bienvenue, and I'm from Leicester. And I don't really have a question, mine is more feedback. I've been out and about in Addison County talking to citizens, and their opinions are academic excellence is the priority, and they did not like the two district supervisory union that was being recommended. They prefer the 10 or 12 district mapping that we have been looking at. They felt that they would lose local control, and that the government would not really be listening to the citizens and taking input and respecting their individual philosophies and teaching their children. So I just wanted to share that over this past weekend I was out and about, and that's the feedback that I received.
Great. Awesome. Other questions? The only thing I would like to say at the end of this is that, education is important, and I'm glad that you guys are working on it up there. I also alluded to healthcare, but I also realize that there's 3 other areas that I feel that the state needs to be working on in tandem in order for all of this to kind of work itself out. And number 1 is jobs, number 2 is infrastructure, and 3 is housing. And as you all know, on this side of the state, we do not have an easy way to get to the interstate. You got to go over mountains and hills and valleys. We have half of an interstate over here on Route 4, but how about the other half? We're not going to be able to get jobs, and CTE is great and all of that, but we also need those other jobs, factory jobs, things like that we are losing hand over fist. And I think in order to bring our education levels back, we're going to need to be working on all of that in tandem. It's not just education. I know Governor Scott is pushing that. I like Governor Scott, but it's all of that in order to keep our kids here, to keep us here, in order for us to live in Vermont. So I just want to leave you with that.
Amen, Lori. Hey, I'll tell you, I think that the fundamental problem from Virgins down to Bennington is a stagnant economy. I think what we're dealing with a lot of symptoms, and we're not addressing the fundamental problem. In our region, it's the economy, and I agree with you 100% that limited access roads, highways, is an issue that's been ignored for what's it been now, 50 years. So I agree with you 100%.
Thanks. Yes.
Lori, can I just close too?
Sure, but Braden has one question first. I'm sorry, I'm going to let Braden talk, and then you can go if you don't mind.
Not really a question.
Okay.
I do agree with what Senator Weeks said and what you said about jobs. I, for one, would like to stay in Vermont, but the only reason I really question if I will is because of the lack of jobs, and I think that is true for at least the majority of the peers I know. Is they all like the state, but there's just not as many jobs here as there are in other parts of the country.
Okay. And Senator Williams, please go ahead.
No, just in closing, Act 73, in the end, it's all about education quality. It really is. That's what we really care about. That's what our kids deserve. And somehow we got to figure out how to fund it and to move on with it. And I think we were doing a good job. Politics always getting in the way of it. And unfortunately, we can only do so much from where we are. And I really appreciate what you, the board, and the teachers all do for our kids. And you got to do it with what you got right now. So hopefully this process, you're gonna end up with something better that will all make the process better.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Yeah, we really appreciate you being here. Thank you for taking time out of your night to do this. And if you need us, contact us.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to visit with your board because the conversations are very frank and direct, and I really appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Me too.
Great.
All right,
Thank you.
bye-bye. Thank you. Have a good night.
Right now.
Okay. 6:56. I did so well in timing that. Okay. We are about to, so we have a couple of minutes, although we do have a proposed executive session at 7. We can take a few minutes of public comment if you would like to do that right now.
Are we gonna have another opportunity?
After our executive session, yes, we'll continue it so that you guys all have a chance to speak.
Okay,
But
because that was supposed to be the first thing on the agenda, and they were supposed to go after at 7:30.
no, actually, it says legislative update underneath communications with parents, citizens, and staff. That was the first thing. So that's why that's there.
Oh, I just printed this today, so I.
Oh, it's been like that since it came out. Is there anyone who would like to speak?
We'll just wait until we all speak.
Okay, all right. We're just waiting. We need our lawyer to come on, and then she's actually on. There's Dina. So then I need a motion to move into executive session at 6:58.
So moved.
Seconded.
Okay, we're gonna move into executive. All those in favor? Sorry.
Aye.
All right. Aye. Perfect. All those opposed? Okay, we're moving into executive session. At this time, it is time for public comment, so we'll open it up to you all. Who wants to start?
Will you be reading the letters that were submitted?
Not tonight.
Okay, I'll start.
Okay?
Hi, I'm Caitlin Hill. Said I am writing to express concern regarding what appears to be a continued pattern of inadequate public notification and transparent communication surrounding significant district discussions and potential structural changes. In reviewing recent meeting minutes, several entries raise serious question about how and when the public is being informed. In the November 18th, 2025 minutes, it was noted that there was a lack of communication with community, including questions about whether the public was being informed that changes were under consideration. It was further emphasized that even small budget decisions can significantly impact public trust if the community does not receive clear and transparent communication. In the November 4th, 2025 minutes, reference was made to proposed redistricting maps expected by December 31st for further review and consideration. Given the magnitude of redistricting decisions, proactive public engagement should be standard practice, not an afterthought. The minutes also reflect conversations regarding potential collaboration or realignment involving Corey Valley, Proctor, and the Greater Rutland County Supervisory Union. These discussions include the possibility of structural changes affecting middle and high school configurations, consolidation models, and district alignment. Yet it appears that much of this dialogue occurred in preliminary stages without broad public awareness. These are not minor administrative adjustments. They involve potential redistricting, consolidation, building use changes, and long-term financial planning. Each of these carries significant implications for students, families, taxpayers, and community identity. Transparency is not simply about complying with open meeting laws. It is about actively ensuring that families and community members understand what is being explored, why it is being explored, what alternatives exist, and how they can meaningfully participate before decisions solidify. When the public learns of major considerations only through meeting minutes, secondary reports, or fragmented updates, it understandably erodes trust. I respectfully request that the board commit to clearly communicating when major structural redistricting or consolidation discussions are in exploratory stages, provide accessible summaries of proposals and their potential impacts before drafting letters of interest or advancing discussions, establish a consistent, proactive public engagement plan for any proposal that could alter district configuration, student assignment, or long-term government structure, ensure that all substantive inter-district discussions occur transparently in warned public meetings. Rebuilding and maintaining public trust requires more than technical compliance. It requires intentional openness. Our community deserves to be informed participants in decisions and that our children's education and our town's futures. Thank you for your attention to this matter. I look forward to your response and a renewed commitment to transparent and inclusive governance.
Thank you.
And 2 board members just missed what you said.
Yeah.
Who's next?
I'll go. I sent in this letter to each of you via email, but I just wanted to make sure that it was on the record and wanted to read it out loud for you as well.
Go ahead.
I'm writing as a parent directly affected by the decision to move Caverly Preschool program. I'm asking for clear answers on both the process and what followed, and the reasoning behind the decision. At January 6th meeting, the board voted to relocate the preschool. Many of us were surprised by the vote. Under Vermont open meeting law, agendas are required to be posted in advance and must give the public reasonable notice of the business that may be acted upon. If relocating the preschool was not specifically warned in the agenda, I would like to understand how the board determined to take the vote complying with the requirements. Moving a preschool program is a major decision for families and the community. Feels like something that should be clearly identified beforehand. On January 13th and February 3rd meetings, there was attempts to reconsider or rescind the January 6th vote. It appears that 7 votes were treated as necessary to overturn the prior action. I'm respectfully asking the board to explain how the number was determined. Robert's Rules of Order, 12th edition, section 35, state that a motion to rescind may pass by a majority vote of if previously notice was given, or by 2/3 of a vote of those present, or a majority of the entire membership. These are alternatives. If a proper notice was given for reconsideration, it seems a simple majority of those present would have been sufficient. In addition, the OVUU Articles of Agreement require a 2/3 vote only in very specific circumstances, such as certain school closures. I would appreciate clarification as to what specific authority the board relied on to require 7 votes in this situation. If 11 board members were present, 2/3 of those present would actually require 8 votes, not 7. If the board calculated based on all 13 seats, 13, I would like to know what legal authority requires that approach. Beyond the procedural issues, I want to speak to a broader responsibility of the board. School board members are elected to serve as stewards of public funds, protect the quality of our children's education, and strengthen the community that supports our schools. That responsibility includes asking hard questions, carefully evaluating recommendations from the administration, and ensuring that decisions are made transparently in the best interests of students and taxpayers. The board works for the community. Families trust that you will question assumptions, evaluate long-term impacts, and fully examining the reasoning behind specific changes. When a decision of this magnitude is made, particularly in a way that leaves families feeling surprised or unheard, it raises concerns about whether the stewardship role is being fully exercised. There have also been confusions about the underlying rationale for moving Caverly. Some explanations have focused on facilities and logistics. Others have suggested broader enrollment or planning considerations. If this relocation is part of a larger strategic version of grander configurations or district restructuring, that vision should be clearly articulated and openly discussed. The community deserves to understand not only what decisions are made, but why. This issue has created significant concern and division in our community. I'm simply asking for transparency, accountability, and assurance that both the law and the district's governing documents were followed carefully and that the board fully exercised its independent oversight responsibility. Thank you.
And your name is? I'm sorry.
Jean Kaufman.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Who's next?
Hi, my name is Sarah McKeegan. I am writing to express my distrust, disapproval, and frustrations with the OVUU board. I am a young mom of a preschool and elementary age children. I grew up in Pittsburgh and graduated from Otter Valley. My attention was drawn to these meetings based on the Cavalry topic once it was actually listed on the agenda, so I attended my first meeting after the unwarned vote on 1/6. At my first meeting, Bertrand began the meeting without any introduction of herself, blank-faced and monotone. That really set the stage of the tone of these meetings as a new attendee. I immediately found the air intimidating to the board and the public, an air that seems to be trying to display a nearly bully-like mood. A bit ironic, as I've heard surveys and extensive data collection on how kids in school feel amongst their peers. Bullying and safety are a common topic. So now that I'm paying attention, I'm enlightened on how things tend to run, and I'm not impressed. These folks are delegating our tax dollars, not listening to the public, to the tune of $30 million, an outstanding amount amongst a small community. It's a tough argument since on 2-3, even a select board member was sure to point out that the turnout for standing up for the motion to keep Caverly in place was uniquely large, and there was an unusual large amount of public comment in favor of keeping at its current location. Yet some members have such big egos they tuned out the public comment to stick to their agenda to rule it as a closed location. After being ignored by most, I do thank those who changed their vote and heard us. This brings me to some questions about the OVUU board decision making and some points I read in the annual report. First, the report summary begins with OVUU board is proud to present a budget increase of 2.92% for the 26-27 school year. As we all know, raising property taxes cannot be sustained, and we did our best to pass a responsible budget. Okay. Part of this budget is the move to Whiting Pre-K to the OCA, Leicester, and Caverly Pre-K to Lothrop. I point this section out and ask, why does the budget include the moves? I thought the move was to save money, not dip into the funds included in a nearly 3% increase. Also, how can a move be decided to happen if it needs a budget to do that, and we didn't pass the budget yet? As I continue to read the report, I get to staffing changes headline and see that Lothrop is anticipated to have a 1 teacher reduction. I'm curious who decides which teacher. As I said, I attended Lothrop, and to be frank, now as a parent, I'm thus far not impressed with the school. My son's a 4th grader, and I even homeschooled him last fall in the fear that that year would be like the previous. I would love to see annual reviews surveys sent to parents with appropriate place to submit their opinions about classroom teachers and specialist teachers that allows them to be anonymous or in a fashion of strong opinions don't affect relationships. It could just be a simple 20-question survey rating from 1 to 5. Confidentiality is necessary. A large problem of a small community is fear of rocking someone's boat that you need to evaluate professionally but know you'll cross paths socially. I am now in a 2nd year of my son whose peer's parent is the teacher. This is another very difficult situation, especially when there's conflict. Actually, something I think that shouldn't be allowed. Teaching children in their own grade level. They do avoid having them in the same class, but the grade level as a whole is extremely difficult. As a pattern at Lothrop, I see laziness and impatience amongst the staffs towards students. Not all, but you're only as good as your weakest link. I also see reorganizing teachers via change in grade levels regularly, and I believe this is a cause of a lot of disruption in teachers' teaching patterns and rhythm. Part of my frustration with Caverly moving to Lothrop is Caverly has, who I believe is one of the best teachers in the school, and a great consistent routine and organization, something that Lothrop gets an F on in my eyes, and I am very worried they cannot handle another class grade. They really need to get their act together before this addition. Could it be a leadership issue? Is it a board issue? What can you do to help? So I ask again, who fires the 1 teacher and who gets to pick that person? If you all sit in front of us with true desires to improve our district schools, you need our opinions and we need your expertise on the process to implement. This is not going to happen successfully with limiting public comment only at the beginning of the meeting and by acting with pre-made decisions. Open your eyes to the public and open your mind to what's best for each school. They don't all need to be identical. Don't change what's broken and turn your focus onto what is broken. We all wasted several meetings now dismantling one thing that wasn't broken. Why did we not work on fixing real issues? Caverly was not an issue, unless it was a disruption to the larger agenda that we have for the Caverly building that's still not being shared. I think there's a lot of information from higher B's not getting shared. I was enlightened on Act 73 today, and I think we're starting to see the bigger picture here. I stayed in Pittsford to avoid Neshabie, so that wonderful comment that was made at the previous meeting about Caverly can move because Neshabie did it. Well, Neshabie had no pre-K, and so they put it in the elementary school. You're worried about enrollment now. We didn't need to Neshabie my town's schools. Your actions help schools like us. Your actions help schools like Christ the King with enrollment. Thanks.
Anyone else?
Jennifer Brittingham. Good evening. At the last meeting, over an hour of public comment was given in support of keeping Caverly Preschool where it is. The town select board voted unanimously in support of keeping it where it is. Over 300 legal voters signed a petition asking you to keep Caverly where it is. And yet it feels as though none of that mattered. If the board does not wish to listen to community members, if you do not wish to listen to the select board, if you do not wish to listen to 300 voters, then at the very least, you should listen to your own data. At your last meeting, you presented the Fall Panorama Culture Survey results. In grades 3 through 5, 66% of students reported feeling safe, which means 1/3 of our elementary students do not feel safe at school. 65 reported a sense of belonging, which means more than 1/3 do not feel safe like they belong. School climate was only at a 59%. That is not a strong number. These are not numbers we should feel comfortable with. And by grades 6 through 12, those numbers decline even further. By only 49% feel safe, only 33% feel a sense of belonging. School climate drops to 45%. By middle and high school, only 1 in 3 students feel they truly belong. We cannot ignore that trajectory. Belonging does not suddenly disappear in 6th grade. It either grows or erodes over time, and the foundation for safety, belonging, emotional regulation, and communication begins in early childhood. Your own survey shows emotion regulation at 50% favorable in grades 3 through 5. That means half of our elementary students are struggling with managing their emotions. These are skills that are built earliest in preschool settings that focus on play, relationships, and social development. If 1/3 of our elementary students already do not feel safe, if more than 1/3 already do not feel they belong, why would we weaken the very program that builds those skills at the earliest stage? Caverly Preschool is not just a classroom. It is where children first learn that school is safe, adults can be trusted, that they are valued, and they belong. If we want stronger panorama results 5 years from now, the work starts at age 3 and 4, not in middle school, where their foundation for all of these are built. You may choose not to listen to the community, but you should not ignore your own data. Preschool is prevention. Preschool is belonging. Preschool is infrastructure. Please protect the Caverly Preschool. Also, I understand that the board is exploring a potential middle school model, a relocation of students, and restructuring to address enrollment and engagement challenges. It does not make sense to invest energy in restructuring grades 6 through 8 while weakening the very program that shapes children at age 3 and 4. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Megan Poirier. First, I would like to thank those on the board who voted in favor of reinstating Caverly at the Caverly location. The fact that you are willing to listen to the families that spoke out against the move and support what is best for our tiniest learners is greatly appreciated. I would also like to express my disappointment with those who opposed the reinstatement or chose not to vote. After attending the February 3rd meeting, which had over an hour of public comment given in support of keeping Caverly where it is, one board member described as a rare circumstance where the board has spent that amount of time hearing public comment on one specific issue. Not to mention over 350 signatures from legal voters seeking to keep Caverly at its current location. Yet it feels as though none of that mattered. The community's voice did not matter to the board. At the last meeting, you presented the panorama data,
Within this data, it was noted that 1/3 of our elementary students in grades 3 through 5 do not feel safe at school, nor do they feel like they belong. Students in grades 6 through 12 at least one half of the students did not feel safe, and nearly 2/3 felt like they did not belong. These numbers are concerning and something that cannot be ignored. The foundation for feeling safe and a sense of belonging and/or the communication and emotional skills begin in early childhood. These are skills that are built and presented to our earliest learners when they enter the school system in a preschool setting, a setting that focuses on play, relationships, and social development. The program at Calverley offers all these skills and more. Why would we weaken the very program that builds the skills at the earliest stages? Calverley isn't just a program. It is where children first learn that school is safe, adults can be trusted, they are valued, and they belong. Thank you.
Anyone else? Terry?
Are you, Terry Patch, are you in a position to actually answer questions? I mean, if there's questions asked.
Potentially. Usually not. I mean, usually we hear from you. We don't usually answer questions.
Well,
but
first of all, I had the whole issue with the anonymous letters. You could share that. I don't need answers. I just think that there needs to be clear policy about accepting anonymous correspondence.
Sure. So Terry sent in a Let's Talk or a Reach Out that talks specifically about accepting anonymous letters from the public. She indicated that most times, most boards and things do not accept them because they can't be, we can't be certain that they're from the community that we're serving, or that, you know, it's the same person saying 12 different things at the same time. She also indicated that in a narrow situation, you would accept anonymous letters, especially if you feel that there would be retribution or, you know, essentially retribution. So she indicated that she wanted to know why we had accepted those letters. I told her in my response to her that I agreed with her, that 9 times out of 10 we don't accept anonymous communication because we don't know where it's coming from. But she did hit the nail on the head when she talked about retribution and fear of retaliation. That
although, we all, anyone standing up here.
Oh, no, I understand.
And also be on that, that end of retribution. So own it.
I understand. I'm just saying that those people who...
I think it's risky, and I think that there just needs to be some real clear policy.
And you guys did put weight on those 12 anonymous. I remember, was it you who said, like, we have 12 people who responded in support of it, and they were all unanimous.
Haven't cut anybody off. Please respect us and do not cut us off while we're talking. Thank you.
What?
No, it's okay. But the point of the matter is that, you know, so I can see why the teachers, and I did say that you could tell some of those anonymous letters were from teachers, and they don't want to ruin their.
You know that?
Well, I think from the way that they talked, you could tell. So, again, you know, but in the past, we really haven't had that situation. And I have said in previous meetings that if someone sends an anonymous communication and we can't tell what it's about, that we, you know, here it is, but, you know, I don't know where we go with that.
And can I add that people within the group that was speaking did ask to hear from the anonymous.
Well, they asked to hear all of the communications that we received.
And they said even the anonymous ones. That was mentioned by the group. So I think.
And I did not put it. I tried not to put any kind of emphasis on either one. I did try to keep it even. I hope I did that. So, but I mean, you are heard. I do hear you.
And so I guess my other question, though, is in regard to the proposal for a different. I think that it's being called field. It's labeled in the annual report as a field studies at the Calvary Road location. So, what is that plan? I mean, is
that
it
must
just
be an administrative plan.
Dangle out there to generate excitement, or is there actually a plan in place? Because it doesn't really make any sense to me to take a program, move the program to safe money, I assume it's a money, I
It's
think
not,
everything's.
but, okay, anyway.
money, But, so you're moving it to a new location, but you're gonna put another program up there, so you still have to maintain it, you still have to staff it, you still have to insure it. I guess I just don't understand. Is that something that's a real plan at this point, or is it just?
I think that that's probably something they would talk about over the summer, but I don't know.
Well,
That's an administrative
that's
thing.
for-
Yeah, I don't,
The board doesn't decide that.
we'll let Renee.
I guess the bottom, like the bottom line, like, what are you saving by moving the program? What are you spending by moving the program? And then what are you spending, to put a new program?
I don't think we're putting a new program there. I think we want it to, I don't believe it's a new program.
The goal is for the other grades to be able to access it as well. So it's not just available for the pre-K students as it is currently.
So is there a plan, or is it just an idea at this point?
It's an idea at this point, so then, because we would need the feedback from the teachers and from the campus administration and the best way to utilize it. Because as we've heard, that it is really good for our students to get out and utilize the facility that's out there. It brings opportunity for us to be able to use it in different ways.
So it would be similar to what the experiential program that's already in place is like, but for all students?
For all students.
Interesting. Thank you.
Welcome. Any other public comment?
Could I have copies of anyone's statements that are printed? That would be really helpful for taking minutes.
Okay. All right, well then, thank you.
I would like to read my other letter, if nobody else is
Thank
gonna go.
you. Thank you.
Okay.
Also, there were two board members here were not here when I was reading.
If
my
you'd like to give it to,
script.
they're more than, you can hand it to them and they can read it while you're, while we're doing the rest of the meeting.
Okay.
If that would be helpful.
I did not read this part that I'm crossing out.
Oh, okay.
A little late on the research, I
Yeah,
apologize.
no worries. That's, I think it was these, yeah, they can read it while we're continuing on. Thank you. All right, we cannot do the 2025 Vermont snapshot review.
She wants to read some.
Oh, sorry. Okay, sorry. I go for it.
We got a few more minutes.
My apologies.
So I'm writing to strongly and unequivocally, I did send this, but I don't know who has gotten it, but.
Okay.
I am writing to strongly and unequivocally urge the reinstatement of the Caverly Preschool Program. The decision to relocate the preschool-age children to Lothrop Elementary is deeply concerning, developmentally inappropriate, logistically unsound, and procedurally flawed. Lothrop Elementary is not designed for 3- and 4-year-old children. The building, its layout, its daily rhythms, and its student population are tailored to much older elementary-age students. Preschoolers require a fundamentally different environment, one that prioritizes safety, calm transitions, age-appropriate facilities, and protected spaces. Placing toddlers in a building designed for much older children exposes them to unnecessary risks. Older students, even unintentionally, can intimidate or bully much younger children. This is not a reflection of the older student's character, but a predictable consequence of mixing vastly different developmental stages in a space never meant to support it. Additionally, relocating preschoolers to Lothrop will require significant financial investment to retrofit the building to meet early childhood needs. These costs, specialized bathrooms, classroom modifications, playground adjustments, and safety accommodations, represent new and avoidable expenditures. Reinstating the Caverly Preschool Program would eliminate the need for much of this spending and make far better use of existing appropriate infrastructure. Traffic and safety concerns cannot be overstated. Introducing preschool drop-off and pickup into Lothrop's existing schedule will significantly increase congestion. Morning and afternoon traffic will be doubled, creating delays, confusion, and safety hazards for families, staff, and students alike. For this reason, I formally request that the members of the school board personally witness current drop-off and pickup procedures at Lothrop Elementary before the fall 2026 school year. Observing these conditions firsthand is essential before adding an entirely new population of very young children and their families into an already congested system. There's also a critical issue of location. Lothrop is dangerously close to Route 7 for preschool-aged children who are impulsive, unpredictable, and still learning basic safety awareness. This proximity presents a serious and unacceptable risk. Preschool environments must prioritize distance from high-traffic roadways, not place children closer to them. Beyond these practical concerns, the process by which the initial vote to relocate the preschool raises serious legal and ethical issues. The first vote to move the program occurred without proper public notice. Families and community members were not aware of the meeting or the decision, which appears to be a violation of the Vermont's open meeting law. Decisions of this magnitude must be made transparently with full public awareness and participation. Additionally, I am deeply concerned by the apparent consideration of anonymous letters or comments to support of relocating the preschool program. Anonymous submissions should not be accepted or weighted in on decisions of this importance. There is no way to verify who submitted these letters, which town they reside in, or whether they have direct connection to the district, or a single individual may have submitted multiple responses. Allowing anonymous input undermines transparency, accountability, and integrity of the decision-making process, especially when the outcome directly affects young children and public resources. Furthermore, Vermont law is clear regarding ethical oversight and accountability. Vermont Act 171 requires school districts to designate and maintain access to an ethics liaison to ensure compliance, transparency, and ethical governance. Given the concerns surrounding process, notice, anonymous input, and decision-making, it is imperative that the district clearly identify its ethics liaison and involve them in reviewing the actions taken related to the preschool relocation. Compliance with Act 171 is not optional, and ethical safeguards exist precisely to address situations like this. The Caverly Preschool Program exists for a reason. It meets unique developmental, emotional, and safety needs for our youngest learners. Removing it and forcing preschoolers into an ill-suited elementary environment undermines those needs, ignores foreseeable risk, and disregards the voices of families who rely on this program. I urge the school board to take immediate action to reinstate the Caverly Preschool Program, pause any relocation efforts, ensure compliance with Vermont law, and recommit to transparent, lawful, and child-centered decision-making. Our youngest children deserve environments designed for them, not compromises that place convenience, cost, or expediency above the safety and well-being.
You want to hand that one? Can you hand that in to
Yes, please.
Amber, please? Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for finding the one.
No problem. Thank you.
Could I just ask a quick question about like the way that the reach out works? Because I noticed on today's, like I know you're not going to read them, but actually a comment that I had put, which I submitted really late, but it's appearing today, but I actually made it for last meeting. So what's like the timing to make sure you submit things so that it appears to you guys in the correct manner? Like so it falls into the right meeting pattern?
Into the right meeting. So I told people at the last meeting that as long as it was in by 3 o'clock on our meeting day, that we would get it.
My letter's not in there.
Okay.
From today at 10. But so I'm just wondering how that works.
Right. Okay. But that's essentially what it is that I won't. Yes.
When you're finished.
Oh. Okay.
Want to make sure it's
So, but that's what I don't get them after 3 o'clock. So anyone that, if you send a reach out, those reach outs come to, if you send them to the board,
So the
those
day
reach out
of
comes
3
to me.
o'clock, that's actually a
Yeah.
pretty late deadline. Okay, so.
Yeah.
But they only go to
But
her.
they only go to
They
me,
wouldn't
so
necessarily
they
be
may
in
not
the board.
necessarily be in the board
Everybody
packet.
to reach. But days previous, then
Yes,
would
well,
be
we
more
give
of a
it- yeah.
guarantee that you'd all see it.
I give them to Melinda.
Thank you for that clarification.
Yeah.
Friday, right? The Friday.
Yeah,
before
when
the
she
meeting?
sends out the,
If you want us, all of us to get it, I would say the Friday before the meeting.
Thank you, that's
Yeah.
helpful.
okay.
So is that
Actually,
automatic?
Jennifer Brittenham was first, sorry.
I just want to know, like, why, for the process, just trying to understand why today you're not going to read the letters. And I did meet the deadline for today with my reach out, and it wasn't part of the packet. And also, it's extremely difficult trying to reach you guys individually. I know, like, you guys write, put first initial and last name and you tell us that's how to do it. But like I tried M and F as a first name and then last name, and it doesn't work.
That's Fernanda, yeah.
Okay.
So what is your email?
My name is M. Fernanda. I think that my RNU email is m.fernanda.canales. It's because it took my personal email and then added.
Can you guys put it on like the main
It should be
page?
printed though. It should be included in the directory.
It just says that it's supposed to be our first initial and last
Yeah, it
name.
does not.
But
You have to
yours
write
doesn't
it in.
follow.
That's because I have a complicated middle name. So
I just thought maybe it would just make it flow better.
Yeah,
if we understood the guidelines of it. So
yeah,
it would just be really easy if you guys could like write your emails like on the website so that we can make sure that we're putting in correctly. And I really dislike the idea that all the reach outs funnel to you
as
and
board
then-
chair.
Yeah, like I think it should. It's in the description. It says like to reach us, meaning I'm thinking I'm sending this and all of you guys are receiving it, but I truly don't know.
But
And
that,
so,
I think that ensures that she's going to get it to all of us. That's her responsibility.
That's my
her responsibility. So if you send it just to me,
And if you're
I don't know
expecting-
if anybody else has gotten what you sent
Well,
me.
and the other issue is, I think what you may be getting at is that when we are not together in a group, the only person who can speak for the board is myself. So if you send an email to all of us individually, like I've seen a few of you do,
yeah,
they're not to answer you. The only one who will answer is me.
that's fine.
So-
I just want to make
no,
sure.
but I just want you to know that. So
Thank you.
if you're not getting responses from 12 other board members,
yeah.
it's because they're not supposed to do that.
And we will send it.
Unless
to
I give
Lori,
them specific, right, unless I give them specific reasons to talk for the board. Like if they go to the select board or something and we have talking points for the
like a-
budget or something like that, yeah.
that makes more sense. Thank you.
Okay. And Terry, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. You had something else.
Well, so I was just trying to clarify, so
I don't think we had a specific process until this past week. We have not shored up the process as to how they get into the packet or how everybody gets them prior to a meeting. So that's something that Melinda and I will talk about.
So you, at the end of the week, eventually everybody gets.
Yeah, they'll get them in their, they should be getting them in the board packet, and anything that they didn't get from the prior one should be in the next one.
Friday before.
Yeah, the Friday before is when, so once the agenda goes out, that's the last one that they're gonna receive.
Okay. So why are you not reading letters today? Isn't that the whole point of
Well,
reach
most
out?
of you already read them. I mean, I just didn't read them today because actually Caverly is not on our agenda for today. So, and I think you all, I mean, of the only two that I didn't read, because I read them all today, the only two that I did not read pretty much said the same thing that you all said. So, but
it's their voice and they reached out.
they did. No, they did. But it will be in the next, it'll be in the next packet, and you'll be able to read
Well,
them
we've
there.
seen them, right?
Not the last two, not from today.
I actually would like to see an earlier deadline. It is super hard. Like if we go to 3 and then all of a sudden it's in the
Sorry.
packet,
I've been playing with a pen, I finally broke it.
like that's not really enough time, I think. For
That's why I say Friday.
Yeah, I mean, or yeah.
Well, that's fine. I mean, right. So we
Some
just
kind of
haven't
a-
had that issue in the past, so we didn't really have a plan, but we'll make one.
I mean, it probably needs to be after the agenda comes out for that exact reason. Like, what are we
Maybe.
talking about? But
But you guys don't like it to get them on the day of, so
certainly
but-
not at 4:00 or whatever.
right.
Yeah.
Well, so anyway, so we'll come up with a plan and make sure that we communicate to everyone as to when the last minute that
Maybe
board
it's
members will get it. Might be Sunday, so that it comes
Yeah,
out
or
Monday.
Even
Yeah.
Monday, like if we got it Tuesday morning, that would be at least
Maybe.
semi-reasonable.
We'll figure it out. So, it's not something I'm gonna figure out tonight. Sorry. Okay. But anyway, but yes, we'll make
So
certain
that's
of that.
board documents, not the agenda.
Right, yeah. Right. It's just, yeah, communication to the board. Okay, so thank you for all of your comments. Moving on, the 2025 Vermont Snapshot Review is not available yet, so we are going to be moving that on to the next agenda if it finally becomes available.
Supposedly tomorrow morning.
Okay, well, that's a little too late for us.
Yep.
We have a monitoring report 2.7 compensation and benefits. Can I get someone to make a motion, please?
Move that we.
Fernanda? Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Natalie, is there any discussion on the monitoring report 2.7? This one is about compensation and benefits for our teachers and staff.
So this one is, I liked it because it's not a very long and complicated one, and the documents that, we produce a lot of documents on a regular basis for this specific, so it was easy to put this monitoring report together.
Cool. Is there anything else you wanted to say about it?
No.
Okay. Any questions for Renee? Okay, all those in favor of approving monitoring report 2.7 compensation and benefits, please signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, any abstentions? Okay, passes. All right, next thing on our agenda is an open meeting law complaint. So, in regards to the open meeting law complaint that we received this past week, we do not feel that an open meeting law violation occurred. However, out of an abundance of caution, the board is going to cure the alleged violation anyway.
I hereby move that the board ratifies the actions taken regarding the budget on January 6, 2026, including relocating 2 pre-K programs and maintaining OCA as a K through 6.
Hey, Natalie, is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Thank you, Rhiannon. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion put forth by Natalie, please say aye.
We're missing.
Are we missing
Oh.
something?
Aye.
Where'd he go? Okay.
Who seconded that motion? Was that Rihanna?
Yes, it was Rhiannon.
It was.
Yep.
Do you want to do name by name?
Well, just keep your hands up, I guess. I don't know why he walked out at this particular time.
Yeah, might have gone to the restroom.
He might have gone. All right. All those that signify by saying aye, raise your hands. And those online,
Lauren,
Rhiannon, Gabe.
I can't raise my hand.
Okay.
Barbara?
Are you?
Barbara, yes?
Okay. Barbara, are you a yes?
Reluctantly,
Okay. And you walked out right as we were voting.
Leslie?
Okay.
Kevin Thornton?
No, we did that already. We were at the opening meeting law thing. We were already voting.
It's the hereby
I
move
didn't
to
know you were
ratify.
gone.
Sorry.
Yes or
Do you
no?
want to hear it again?
No, I'm familiar with it.
All right.
What
All
part
those.
in the vote are
We
we
were
at?
we were at the ayes.
I'm sorry. I have currently Lauren, Rhiannon, Gabe, Barbara, Garrett, Leslie, Kevin Thornton, Natalie. I did not get Fernanda. Did you? Yes, you did. Okay, thank you. Yes.
And Brett? No? Yes?
Going to be a no.
Okay. All right. All those nay?
Brett and Kevin.
Okay. Any abstentions? Is that 11?
1,
12?
2, 3, 4,
11.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9 yeses. 2 noes. It equals 11.
Okay. Then the ayes have it, and we have cured our open meeting law complaint. Can we explain what? So currently what that means is that we don't believe that we had an open meeting violation. However, in order to move forward, we are saying that everything that we did prior to tonight in regards to Caverly and Whiting preschools and the K through 6 configuration at Leicester is affirmed. So it means that Caverly, the preschool will be in Lothrop, the preschool currently at Whiting will be at Leicester, and Leicester remains a K through 6 school.
So that our original votes
Right.
remain the same.
Right, because we
Whatever
ratified
the vote
those.
was on the 6 is what the vote was.
Yeah.
Is what it's saying.
Exactly.
It's just confirming it
We are ratifying that.
legally.
Yep. Okay, moving on. Monitoring report 4.4, chair's role. Do you have that anywhere?
I can pull it up.
Thank you.
to be transparent about why you're really doing this.
I think we have been.
Supplemental docs.
Sorry, they're pulling up the chairs roll right now.
Hey,
Is there anything on there that needs to be changed?
Well,
Looks like
yeah.
you, okay.
Well, we have, for example, on tonight's agenda, item 2.
Oh, probably not. Okay.
Excuse me, can I just interrupt?
Yes, sure, Dina.
Are you fine with me?
Oh, yes,
taking
I'm
the
sorry.
meeting?
Thank you for hanging out with us. We do appreciate you.
Yeah,
Have a good
I
night.
appreciate you guys as well. Good
All
night.
right, good night. All right. So I cannot read that.
If it's
Even with my glasses. Oh, there we go. All right.
We got 15 minutes.
I think that was the
Yeah.
only thing that was.
Okay, so we'll
updated.
we'll pull that out.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll just pull that piece out.
Yeah.
If that's okay with everyone?
Yeah.
Is everybody okay with that?
What piece are we pulling?
The part that says, for example, the third note that's in that first box,
The far right column.
the far right column, examples of where we did this.
We're pulling it out?
Yeah.
Bottom,
'cause-
the third paragraph, in the first, in the upper right column.
So that starts with so, for example.
So for example, we're just pulling that paragraph out. Okay, everybody's okay with that? I'm sorry, I didn't even look to see. You guys okay with that? I'm looking over there to my left. Yes,
What
you
about the
okay?
seems self-explanatory language?
Yeah, I mean, it can go out.
Oh, I think when we did that, we just, deliberations will be fair, open, it seems self-explanatory. So,
So yes, we're pulling it?
sure, go ahead. Okay. All right, annual district meeting planning. So we will have a budget presentation at our annual meeting, and we will also have a bond proposal presentation. I believe it was in your packet, the proposal the bond proposal that Jill Duty and myself worked on a little bit, more Jill than myself. Did anybody have a chance to look at it?
Where are we?
I'm not sure what page. Is it not there?
The funds? What are we talking about?
No, there should be a proposal so that you guys can see it for the first time.
Oh, no,
And maybe it's not in there.
I didn't see it, but
I
it
didn't
doesn't
see a
mean anything.
proposal.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't look because I just
I was
assumed.
assuming we'd have pictures and stuff, and
Oh, there were our pictures. It's essentially a mashup of our
Yeah, no,
bond
we didn't see
proposal and the. All right. Well, then this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to send it out to all of you. Yes.
Okay.
Which
No,
Is it
that's
the
not
end?
it.
No.
No. So what I'm going to do is I'll have Melinda send it out to you tomorrow. If you have any specific yucks or yays about it, please send them to me. Not to everybody, just send it to me, so that we can make any changes.
who's
I
giving
think
the
I was
presentation?
going to give the presentation, unless you'd like to do it.
I won't be here.
Oh,
I
okay.
would
You're
be
going to be
here.
gone.
He's
Oh, that's
with
right.
the
You're in
family.
Cancun or somewhere.
Florida.
Yeah,
It's
Florida.
quite
Okay.
that nice.
Okay. So yeah. So probably me.
Enough.
Yeah, well,
Warmer
comparatively.
than here.
All right. So I will send out that bond proposal, and the budget presentation is essentially going to be the same as it was last year. Well, just with different numbers. Okay. All right. As far as the middle school model and communication planning, I went to the Brandon Select Board meeting and the Leicester Select Board meeting the last 2 Monday nights. Leslie also went to the Leicester one last night as well. I had 3 talking points. Number 1, what our budget increase was. Number 2, that we are looking at a bond, whether that is a bond that just makes her great again, all of her innards here at Otter Valley, or if it also includes the middle school model, will be up to the community to give us feedback on what they feel they can stomach. Although after hearing what three of our legislators had to say, I think that it would make us look,
Like we were doing strategic planning.
yeah.
And
well,
also
and
the CTE model. I
yes,
thought that
well, and
was-
we can do that here too. That's the other cool
I
thing.
feel like if we were
So-
to focus on
Yeah.
some of those.
I'm really happy
things.
that they're talking about allowing us to be able to have CTE programs on our campuses
Yeah.
because it seems like we've been, our schools like Otter Valley have been prevented because you're supposed to send your students to the tech centers, and I think, I can't remember if it was Williams or Weeks who brought it up, the fact that if you send, actually, it might even been Conlon, that if you keep a student here for CTE, that's one less student that's going to the tech center for CTE, and
There
I'm
won't
not
be a waiting
necessarily, I'm okay with that. 'cause-
Right, because you're
Right.
allowing more people in that district or area
Well,
to
that
go
right.
there. as
Well, and that waiting list at Stafford of 80 students now all of a
Right.
sudden is much less because you have some
Right.
programs here.
And you're not spending your money on busing.
Right.
The other piece too is.
And
Yeah, it's just a.
Oh, go ahead.
The other piece too is being, and I think he also mentioned that you may not need to have like a gigantic, like a huge shop available. There are plenty of other CTE programs that you can do in a classroom. And so you might need to buy some special equipment, but you can do it in a classroom. And so that would be something that we could really
Yeah. That would
utilize
provide
here.
more space.
Garrett.
Speaking as a tradesperson, I think it's a good opportunity to weed out kids who are serious about it. An introductory to,
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
sure.
if you don't
Right.
excel here, then you can't even apply, or however that works.
Yeah,
but-
Right. No, right.
More of a specialty.
There are also kids who want to learn a skill, but not necessarily go into a trade. Like a lot of kids want to learn to weld, but they don't necessarily want to go through a 2-year welding program.
Right, I went to Fairhaven, and I did not go to Stafford, even though I knew I was going to be in the trades, because I didn't want to drive 45 minutes, and I was too anxious to be in a separate location, But just having some exposure.
Well, even if you want to
Get
do
your
some
feet wet.
woodworking, I mean, if you like,
That's
doesn't
what
mean
we
you
had
want to
at
go into
Fairhaven.
construction, but you can, redo your own house or something like that.
I need to
Yeah,
learn how to
skills
fix
that
my
are-
appliances.
Braden?
I think that Mr. Carpack could probably pretty easily do some of that stuff because he has, this year he set up the welding shop. We're doing welding in there now. He has a lot more, he has a ton of machines for woodworking. I think if he was just allowed to, he could probably easily set up a few programs.
Sure. We just need another one of him.
And-
Well, maybe
And more
not of
space.
him
And
directly,
more
but
space.
someone who can do the things he does.
Right, and the other ability too is to be able to draw on some of the CTE funds when we actually, because Mr. Carpack is certified, so as a result, we should be receiving some of the CTE funds that come along with that as well.
I know. Don't worry.
So,
Okay. Good. All right. Well, anyway, so that is. I am going, in the interest of time, to move the overview of all funds and the cell phone ban policy. We're going to kick that to the next meeting, which won't be until the middle of March.
Okay.
However, there is community linkage tomorrow night. There is the Pittsford Select Board meeting. I cannot attend. I don't know if you want to attend and talk about the budget.
Sure.
It's just three little, Yeah. Well, we have an RNESU board meeting. Otherwise, I would go with you
I have a helmet.
and face the lion's den.
Okay.
So, but we can talk if you want. We can talk about what the three major points to make, and you can.
We should do that.
Yeah. So we'll talk. We can talk tomorrow. Just call me when you have time. Okay. Also, this Saturday from 8 to 10 at the Brandon Transfer Station, which is actually at Hayes Pallets, Renee's going to be there waving. I was going to be there with you too. However, my son is going to be wrestling first time competitively in Barrie. So I'm going to travel to Barrie. So I won't be able to be there. But also on Saturday from 10:30 to noon is the Leicester Transfer Station at their town hall. So if any of you can make it to wave or talk to people, that'd be great.
we'll have the books, extra handouts if people need them and if they haven't received them yet, and I'll bring you coffee if you are willing to join me.
Cool. And Saturday, February 28th, which is next Saturday, there's the Pittsford transfer station, and then the Whiting transfer station. So, advocacy. Anything you want to talk about there?
Just, keep yourself updated with all the information that's coming out of Montpelier. I need to go probably on the way home, listen to the whatever testimony Secretary Saunders provided today in the Senate Ed Committee, because Senator Weeks made it sound like it was very interesting. The CTE testimony. The other piece, so within the document, you'll see a presentation that Secretary Saunders gave to the House Ed Committee, and one of the things that I was really happy that Senator Weeks brought it up, but also that in the presentation that she provided to the Education Committee is really getting to the point of we need to start with what we are expecting. What is educational quality actually supposed to be, not just what we think it should be in each of our 119 districts, but actually what is the state expecting us to produce with our students as they go through our systems. And then the VSBA Education Legislative Report is, if you have all kinds of time, you can see all the different bills that are percolating up to the legislature this year.
Great. Let's see, superintendent's announcements, anything, or?
The only thing, we are finally able to announce that we received the Transcend, Fellowship, and we've started meeting with Principal Ruppel. Mr. Karpak and I have started meeting kind of as the core group, but then we are also including teachers and others as part of our next level group, and we're also going to be inviting members of the community to join us along the way, because and it's really important for us to really kind of set the future, and if we're really able to start offering CTE on our campuses, this is going to be a perfect segue. Yes, sir.
Is that one of the things you said you would like me to be at?
Yes.
Okay.
Cool. All right, our annual district meeting is next Wednesday, February 25th, except for those of us who will be in Florida. 6:30 here at the Otter Valley Library. New board member orientation will be Tuesday, March 10th, if we have any new board members, which I don't think we have anybody running that is new.
Yeah, there's one.
Oh, yeah, Jess. Jess, although I did talk to her at the pre-one, so, yeah, so I guess we'll have to have that meeting.
There is a writing campaign, too, for the
There is.
OC.
Okay. And then our next board meeting will be Tuesday, March 17th here at 6 o'clock, where we will reorganize. So, unless there's anything else anybody would like to talk about, I'm going to let you go at 8:57, Fernanda.
Did it?
Early.
Thank you.
I know, right?
know.
All right, move, seconded. Is it seconded?
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you.